Before talking about political micro-targeting, I wanted to take a step back and actually talk more broadly about what can we do, how can we measure, and how can we mitigate risks in general with online platforms. So you might wonder, what are these risks with online platform that we would like to tackle? And there are various types. Maybe the most important for us as a society are the risks that it brings to our democracies. And we know that these platforms, like Facebook and Google, TikTok, have been misused in order to manipulate and influence voters. And you're probably maybe familiar with some of these cases, but just a small recall. We learned in 2016 that Cambridge Analytica, a political consultancy company that was hired by Donald Trump, was using targeted advertising that it was targeting the personality of people in order to influence their voting behavior. Another case was the Russian interference in the US presidential election. So here there is this agency that was again sending ads in the US before the Trump election, and they were aiming to instigate social discord. So this is about how these platforms can be used by third parties to influence elections. So this is one risk. But some other risks are coming also from the platforms themselves. So platforms put in place recommendation algorithms. If you like this cat's video, they will recommend you other similar videos. But the same kind of algorithms also work when you see some misleading or non-factual information. And researchers have shown that YouTube led to the radicalization of Brazil through their recommendation algorithm, because starting with something that was an information that was a bit suspicious, it was recommending channels that are more and more on the extreme part and more conspiracy. So these risks don't come from third people using the platform, but they are coming from the platforms themselves. Oh, and these are just a few examples of the ads that the Russian Internet Research Agency was sent in 2016, and this was comparing Hillary Clinton with the Satan and Trump with Jesus Christ, and here is Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Other category of risk is risk for the mental health of people. And what we know so far is that an UK court, an official judge, blamed the suicide of a 14-year-old girl because of the content she was seeing online. Whenever she was going on TikTok, Facebook, and other platforms, she was seeing a lot of self-harm content. And the judge said that there is a non-negligible fault on the platforms. And this was the first time a ruling put the blame on the platforms officially. We also know from Frances Haugen that Facebook and Instagram knew about the fact that they are harming the mental health of teenage girls, and because they have been doing some studies. So these are other risks for mental health. We also have risks for privacy. Because of what users are posting online, we can de-anonymize them. For example, on one social media, you might want to maintain anonymity, while on other you are providing your real name. Well, using metadata associated with a post, we can actually link the identities that people have on the anonymous platform with the real name of the person. And we also know that we can learn additional things about users from the activities they have. Okay, so another category of risks are financial and economic risks. And here probably everyone, whenever they buy a product or they go to a restaurant, they are going to check the reviews. This is what I'm doing. But these reviews can be bought on black markets. They are huge black markets where you can say, I want to have 100 good reviews on my product, and there are companies that are providing this service. So the authenticity of many of the reviews that we are reading, it's problematic because we don't know whether they came from real people or from a bot that is selling this service. The other problem comes again from the algorithms that these platforms put in place. And what has been shown is that Amazon was favoring their own products with respect to other products. And this is not okay because there are laws that are forbidding to preferentiate your own products, especially for these platforms. So this was just to give you like a broad view of all the different problems that we can have in social media. And my research, it focuses on discovering, measuring, and mitigating these risks. Okay, so the biggest problem when we actually want to understand risks and we want to measure risk is that we don't have access to data. As external researchers, we don't know what posts people are seeing online, so we don't know how much misinformation they receive. Yeah? And this is like the biggest problem that we have, this asymmetry to data access. So what we try to do in my research group is that we propose a measurement methodology that is based on donation of personal data to science. Similarly, you are donating blood, well, you are asking for your personal data. So what we did is that we developed a tool that can automatically observe the content that people are seeing online. And when they go to Facebook, we are able to observe what is the content that they see online. And we can also observe how they interact with this content. And we are doing it in a privacy-preserving way. We don't collect things that are not public. We don't collect the names and stuff. But this tool, if people install it, it allows us to see what they see online, so then we can audit the algorithms that are put in place by these companies. And this has been the only way to actually do something in order to audit and understand what are the risks with these algorithms. So we did two campaigns, one in 2018 in Brazil, before the presidential election that elected Bolsonaro, and another one in 2020 in the US. We did these two recruiting campaigns. So the first thing that we really wanted to understand is how much misinformation people are seeing on their timelines. We are talking a lot about misinformation, but there is no study that is showing on a daily basis, taking a random person, how much fake news this person sees. So here is what our results are showing. So we collected for like 2 months, we collected for like 2 months the news-related posts that people are seeing. And for some of these news-related posts, we have credibility scores given by journalistic agencies on whether they post mostly factual news or whether they post mostly conspiracy theories and fake news. So we have these labels at source level. So we just looked in our data set and on the Facebook feeds that people are having and say, okay, what is the proportion of factual information? What is the proportion of fake information? And what you can see here, it's like the good news is that 63% of the news-related posts come from factual news sources. Yeah? This is good. The majority comes from factual sources. And here we can have 5% that are coming from sources known to have spread repeatedly misinformation. Everything in the middle, it's either mixed reviews or unlabeled. So this is it a lot? Is it not a lot? It's not me to say, but this is the picture that we have currently in 2020, and we'll see how this evolves. Now, the second question that we wanted to answer as computer scientists is to which degree algorithms are contributing to the fake news appearing users' feeds. And for this, we need to understand what are the mechanisms through which a post appears in a user feed. And we have four options. First one is selective, meaning the person actually went and followed the news source. Yeah, they went and followed New York Times or other source. The second one is the network. Some of my friends posted something related to a news. It's not the algorithm, it's the social network here contributing to exposure. Third one is algorithms. We know that algorithms can recommend you content that you see on your feed. And last one, it's targeted. So what is happening that all these social medias are working, their business model is advertising. Advertising has been designed to show you products that you might be interested in. The problem is that the same mechanisms can be used to target you with information. So someone can use this ad tech to target users, micro-target users, with the information that they think should speak to them or influence their opinion. So if we look at the fraction of misinformation that is coming through these 4 channels, and what we observe that users are more likely to follow misinformation themselves than receive it from friends or algorithms. And this is interesting to understand because if we don't understand what is the source, we don't understand how we can actually take action. We might take action on the wrong pillar. Okay, so this is about exposure to news. The second question we wanted to understand is how users behave in the presence of news-related posts. And of course, the first question was, do users actually check the information they share? Yeah? And you can see here the depressing number that users only check before they share a news-related article in 14% of the cases. So in 86% of the cases, people see a post, a news-related post, and they share it. They don't even click on it to actually read the full article. So this is problematic, and we should do something about this to teach people to have more responsibility for what they are posting. Another question that we had is whether are there filter bubbles? So we've been talking about a lot for the past 20 years, I think, that social media leads to filter bubble because you are only exposed to opinions that you agree with because of the social network and because of the recommendation algorithms. So we wanted to see, okay, so are there filter bubbles or not? So what we did is that we looked again at the feed of Facebook users, and we said it's polarized if 75% of the news-related articles are coming from the same political spectrum. And this is done in the US, where you have this big polarization between Republicans and Democrats. So the idea is that are you receiving 75% of the news that you receive, do they come from the source known to be on the left side, or they come from source known to be on the right side? And what we can see here is that Democrats, only 10% have polarized sources. So the majority of Democrats, they do see the both sides of the spectrum. And for Republicans, it's the same. It's only 5% of them receive 75% of their news from right-leaning sources. So this is positive, means that to some degree, to the degree that we measure here, people are exposed to news from both sides of the political party. Very good, very good. So our next question was, okay, so they are exposed, so how do they actually interact with this news? Do they interact differently when they see a news that it's coming from their own political spectrum with news that it's coming from the other political spectrum? And here you can see, here it's a Republican user, here it's a Democrat source, and here it's a Republican source, and here is the Democrat users. So what we see that if we look in terms of likes, comments, share, as we expected, people are more likely here to share content from their own political spectrum, their own political side. Democrats and Republicans likewise. The interesting thing was that we also looked at hidden interaction, meaning like whether the user clicked or actually checked the article, which is not visible to their social circles. It's something that they do on their computers. So do they actually check the opposing source? And here we have something that is very positive, and you can see that Republicans are actually checking more news that are coming from the opposite political spectrum than their own political spectrum. So what we see is that there is a willingness to go and check what the other people are saying, which I think is something that is quite very positive for our society. It's just that people don't want this to be public, probably because of the image that we want to project. Okay, so this was looking at information without any micro-targeting involved. So now I'm going to go over some of the issues with micro-targeting. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with advertising on Facebook, and how many of you actually try to advertise something on Facebook. If you're not familiar, and if you have a Facebook account, in 10 minutes you can send an ad. So the only thing that you can do is, the only thing you need to do is to go, and they have this, in the settings, they have this create ad. You click on it, you provide your card details, you take a photo, you write a text, and you're done. You send the ad. So everyone can send ads. It's very easy. There is no other verification than this. The other thing is that whenever you are sending an ad, you can select the characteristics of your audience. And we have the general thing, location, age, gender, but then you have detailed targeting. And here you can select the demographics, interests, and behaviors of users. And what we did in a previous work, we tried to understand how many attributes are there on Facebook. And we discovered 250,000 attributes. Yeah, 250,000. And they can go crazy all over. You have like coupon users. Yeah, people that like coupons. You have first-time home buyers. You have primarily cash. Yeah, people that are paying primarily cash. So you have all sorts of easy stuff. So advertisers do have access to all this information, to all these ways to choose their audience. So the problem is that these mechanisms that have been put, as I was saying, put in place to send product ads to people that might be interested in whatever sports, they can be used to send information. So an advertiser, what he can do, if he wants to convince, this is an easy example, you have someone that wants to convince people not to get vaccinated. He can create one version of this ad that is specifically designed for and targeted at people who are interested in alternative medicine. He can create another version of this ad that is specifically designed for and targeted at people who are against the president. So basically what is happening is that this technology allows advertisers, third parties, to use users' personal data to manipulate them. Yeah? This is the biggest issues. And this, what it means, is that we can go beyond this information. This information, we usually say something it's not true, and we can actually have data to say that this is false. But in most cases, things are in the middle. There are many opinion articles online. So we know that there are side effects of vaccines. We know very well now. And it's just a matter of turning it and pitch it, whether it is problematic or non-problematic. So you actually don't need anything that it's false to influence public opinion through political micro-targeting. So the question is, what can we do? And first thing that comes to everyone's mind, it's transparency. We actually don't know, and in the past, we didn't know what ads people are seeing. But after the 2016 presidential election, Facebook and other platforms put in place ad libraries where they put all the political ads that are running on the platform. Yeah, so that civil society researchers can go and scrutinize it. The problem is that advertisers had to self-declare on a voluntary basis if their ads are political or not. And there was no information of whether this is enforced. So the question that we asked in 2018 is whether this ad library is actually missing political ads. And with the methodology that I showed you before, we collected the ads people are receiving from 2,000 users. We label the ads that are political, and we saw how many of these ads are actually in the political ad library. And what we saw surprised us quite a bit, because we discovered that about half of the ads that we detected were not present in the political ad library in Brazil. And we were so surprised about these results that we thought that maybe our algorithms have some problems. And I had 3 students that went over all the ads to double verify that they were actually political. And they were all clearly political. So asking for transparency, I'm not saying it's not good, it's a very good step, but we also need to audit. Yeah? Whatever we ask platforms to do, we then need to follow through and audit to see whether it has been implemented correctly. Another solution that the European Commission and Parliament have been debating is to restrict micro-targeting for political ads, saying if you're sending a political ad, you are not allowed to micro-target them. Now, the problem is that nobody has thought about whether it is possible to reliably split what are political ads from what are non-political ads. Yeah? Because if you want to apply the law, you want to apply it in something that it's predictable. So what we did, we went and asked the simple question of whether do people agree on what ads are political and what ads are non-political. Because if you go and then build algorithms to detect this, they are still going to be based on human judgment. And if at human judgment we have a problem, we will likely also have it in an algorithmical implementation. So we analyzed 55,000 ads, and these ads had votes of whether they are political or non-political, and every ad had at least one person that said it is political. So what we saw is that here, they are the ads where everyone agrees that they are political. Fine. Here are the ads that people disagree. There is a majority that thinks it's political, but not everyone thinks it's political. And here are the ads that some think thinks that they are political, majority think it's non-political. Anyhow, what we can see here is that about half of the ads, there is disagreement. There is some sort of disagreement between users on whether this is political or non-political. Okay, so this is intriguing. So we went and tried to understand what are the characteristics of the ads that people think, that people disagree on. And what we found out is that there are many ads about social issues, ads about economy, ads about immigration. These ads are not talking about a politician. These ads are not posted by a politician, but they talk about something that the society is interested in. And here is the biggest disagreement. People don't know whether you have all these divergent opinions on whether they are political or not. And the biggest problem is that there is a fine line between an ad talking about the social issues, being political, so trying to influence immigration laws, and being on the humanitarian side, only trying to help refugees. So it's very complex, at least by reading these ads or by using algorithms to distinguish between something that is political on immigration and something that is purely humanitarian on immigration. So we have a problem here. So anyway, the question, the long-term, the societal question, if we can't distinguish between humanitarian and political, are we willing to sacrifice Croix Rouge and other NGOs that are actually trying to help people in different parts of the world just to safeguard our elections? The third thing that we might want to do is to have algorithms that are telling us something interesting about the data that we have there. So now the political ad libraries are there. They do have millions of ads, especially in the US. So no human being can go through them and understand whether these ads are legitimate, are truthful, or there is something malicious behind them. So in this work that we did here is that we try to understand what are the policy-related political ads? And we wanted to analyze what are these ads talking about, what policy they are talking about. And we implemented a Flowbird, which is a machine learning algorithm. And here there are policies like environment, human rights, cultural policy, health, social policy, energy, government operation, macroeconomics, education, justice. The usual big categories of public policy. And then we went and we gathered all the political ads that were sent in France before the 2022 election. And what we found out, we looked at who they were targeted to, who saw the ad, and what is the public policy that they were talking about. And we saw that men were underexposed to ads about immigration, social policy, and health. Yeah, so these are the ads shown to women, and men are receiving ads about energy and economy. So there is a big disparity between what different people are seeing in terms of political advertising based on their demographics. Now, what we don't know is whether advertisers themselves presented them differently to different categories of people, or it's the algorithm, the delivery algorithm put in place by Facebook that are learned that people, that women have different preferences than men. So now, this is the first study, and of course, the grail here is that we want to detect malicious ad campaigns. And this is an open question. Whatever algorithms are there to better understand political ads, they will be helpful to scrutinize them. And we are just at the beginning of this because ad libraries have only been put in place in the past very few years. So, to wrap up, what I would say is that the most important thing to safeguard online platforms is to have access to data. And there are two ways to obtain access to data. One is through law. And currently, the Digital Services Act, it's having an Article 40 that will provide researchers with access. Researchers will be able to ask for data for online platforms in order to understand systemic risks. The second part is to ask citizens to donate data about what they see, so then we can use to audit these risks and see whether we can do something better. And the last point that I want to leave you with is that there is a lot of activity at legal level in the European Commission. There is a lot of willingness to regulate online platforms, but we lack evidence on the risks. We lack evidence on the impact that regulation could have. So there is a very rich research agenda to be put in place here to provide evidence and concrete data to lawmakers so they can have better regulation. Thank you very much.